So there was an interesting cover that came out recently.
Okay.
Comic book cover, that is.
That's what I assumed.
Yep.
What else do we do?
It recently hit the interwebs. I don't know how many people have seen it. It's
Not the interwebs.
yeah, the interwebs. It's a preview cover for a comic that it hasn't come out yet, but as things typically happen, like companies or whatever, they'll drop the
Right.
the cover or the image cover for an upcoming issue.
Yeah.
This is I
Marvel or
believe
DC?
this is a DC book. It is I believe it is DC. What do they call it? DC Infinity, something along those lines. It's a continuation of the Justice League Unlimited TV series, the cartoon that came out back in the day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very, very cool shit. I really dug that cartoon, by the way.
Yeah, you and me both, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of their animation, man, it's never really missed. Amazing. But the interesting thing about this cover, and again, this is completely speculation, but the cover, only in comic books, man, does the saying a picture is worth 1,000 words really ring true. And the cover, and the old adage, how you can't judge a book by its cover, is untrue, because you literally do this in the realm of comic books. But on this cover, we see Wonder Woman and Darkseid sharing a passionate kiss, and it has people wondering what the hell is happening in this comic book here. Are we going to get some kind of parallel universe where Wonder Woman and Darkseid are an item? That would be an extremely interesting arc. One that I don't know how you would spin or sell. But I thought that was uniquely odd. And the real reason I'm sharing this, homies, is to let you all know that if you're funny looking or if you're ugly, you can still get a dime piece girlfriend if Darkseid can get Wonder Woman. If like possibly the ugliest dude in DC Comics can get with arguably one of the most gorgeous women in DC Comics. So
I actually just had to look up the cover to see
I
what you're
think it's
talking about.
issue 3 or 4.
Yeah, issue number 4. Yeah, Justice League Infinity. Yeah. I'm waiting for it to load. The text is here, but it's wow. Dude, what the hell? The artwork is money. It's right there to the show, you know.
Yeah.
To all of our childhood shows, right there, done. But yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. That's the one.
That's the one right there. Huh.
Yeah, kind of makes you wonder because, like, I believe that they're in like a some kind of. I think they were stranded in like some kind of parallel universe. I don't know. I haven't been reading Justice League Infinity, so I don't really know the story where it picks up or what it really follows. But I think they're like stranded in some kind of parallel world.
Yeah, they gave you a base breakdown here where they ended up teleported together onto the same barren planet.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. And I guess no one decided to fly off. So, you know.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things where, again, fellas, even if that dime piece girl is said, not even if you're the last man on earth,
They never mean it.
Yeah, they may not mean that. If you are literally the last man on earth, or in this case, whatever planet, then you may still stand a chance. So, fellas, there is hope. Mm-hmm. Don't ever say I never gave you anything. I just gave you hope. All right. You too can get with a Wonder Woman level chick if you are persistent.
Man, I'm looking for a Wonder Woman level chick. Hot damn. That's like the chick that's like gorgeous, got everything. She takes care of you, you know? Like,
yeah.
Man, I'll be your Chris Pines any damn day of the week. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, done.
Done and done.
Oh my gosh. What the fuck was that dude's name? Trevor?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'll be the daggum Trevor.
Steve Trevor, yeah.
Man. Here we are.
And here we are. Yes. I had to buy Wonder Woman, all right. That's how I got, And
He means the collectibles and the books.
I said what I said.
You said what you said.
Yep.
I just had to translate.
Yes.
Even though this collectible, however, is handsome as hell, this is a sideshow piece.
Oh,
Those of you out
yes.
there who know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. Even if even if you never plan on buying a sideshow piece, I recommend at least visiting the website and looking. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where it is probably safer to window shop than to. Maybe it's not even safe to window shop. As a matter of fact, don't go to sideshow.com. You may end up spending a gratuitous amount of money.
The amount of people who didn't care, now that you told them not to, it grew like exponentially. Half the listeners like, fuck you, I'm gonna go see. And they're gonna see like the Wolverine standing on the Sentinel hand. They're gonna see Wonder Woman being badass and beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Like literally, how do you capture so well both badass, like strong, and fucking beautiful that well? You know?
It's crazy because, like, Sideshow, I think I may have said this before, but, like, their online images never do their statues justice. And their images online look great, but they just look so much more better in person.
By the way, not a sponsor. They're legit this cool.
Yeah, they're legit this cool.
It'd be cooler if they offered to pay us for this free ads.
They would be way cooler. Or, hell, I'll take payment in statues. You send me your statues. I will personally review them and give them the Superhero Homie Q stamp of approval. That is worth like half a Stan Lee, allegedly, according to me.
Allegedly, according to me. See, that's the fine print you hope they don't read.
Yeah, you don't read. Because
that's when they're realizing, like,
right.
Oh, so this Monopoly money is worthless. It says right here, not actual currency.
Unless you decided that it is. If you and one other person decide that that's currency, then damn it, it's currency.
In that case, I'm gonna take all the fucking Monopoly money, go to the bank, and be like, I decided this was currency.
Like I said, you and one other person though. If that other person decides that it is, then yeah, it's currency.
It's currency. There you go. And that's economy.
That's economy, guys. But yeah, sideshow.com, they have amazing statues. The Wonder Woman statue, that's what I was getting at. Oddly enough, before I got the Wonder Woman statue over here, I almost got a Wonder Woman and Darkseid statue. And that was an amazing, badass piece.
But it wasn't no romantic piece.
They were definitely in the thralls of battle. And the most amazing part about the statue, I remember distinctly, was not just, it was the posing of the two, and Darkseid had that calm battle composure that he typically has. And Wonder Woman, she's like, coming at him, she's like in the air, and she has her lasso of truth in one hand, and I think like her fist raised in the other. I forget exactly the posture. But in the lasso of truth, she had wrapped around a parademon's neck and choking the shit out of this poor parademon. And it's so funny if you look at like the online pictures of it, because you can almost miss it. But if you scroll through like the images on that, you'll see this poor fucking parademon who's like, Darkseid, please get this bitch off of me.
Or who knows, maybe the parademon was just like, harder, mommy.
He could have been into it, man. What was his name? William Morton?
It is Lasso of Truth, after all.
Yeah. What was his name? Is it William Morton, the gentleman who created Wonder Woman? It's like I have a book of a bunch of Wonder Woman omnis behind me that I could just look through and find the name of the creator or something.
True.
But the creator of Wonder Woman was very much into BDSM. He was very, sexually speaking, ahead of his time in terms of like, sexual freedom and whatnot. He wasn't. He may have actually been a polygamist. Actually, no, I'm not even kidding. No, I'm not even shitting
what
you.
Are you doing?
I am not.
What the fuck are we talking about right now? All the homies like, when's this cold open gonna stop? Shit's getting too hot.
There comes a moment when the cold open is more interesting than anything else. All right, this may be one of those moments. I think there's even a doc on the guy.
Was he? Oh my gosh, dude. So wait, polygamist. I have to ask. Was he LDS?
He was not.
He was actually like a freelancing polygamist.
Yeah.
And by the way, to paraphrase, not LDS or polygamous. Get that straight today.
But if you want to be one.
But if you shoot nowadays, take it from what was the Wonder Woman creator's name here?
Gosh, what was it? William Morton, I think. I got to double check
All
it.
right. Well, hey, take it from Mr. Morton, potentially Mr. Morton, that hey, you could be a freelancing polygamist. You don't have to be assigned to any sect or religion, whatever have you.
Yeah, you can kind of do your own thing. William Marston.
Marston.
Yep.
So we don't know what Mr. Morton cares about, but Mr. Marston over here.
Oh, I got his middle name is Moulton. I think I just combined his middle and his last name.
Huh.
So yeah.
Cool how the subconscious does that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But Mr.
William
Marston.
Yeah. This guy, he was into like whips and chains and whips. I said whips twice for a reason. He was heavy. There's a doc on this guy. I kid you not. I have not seen the doc on him. I just happen to kind of know this freaky shit about this guy, but no kink shaming.
Who revealed this? Like, who said, "Oh, by the way, he's into shit and this and that and this shit"? Yes, like,
Yeah, he was into some.
Did he himself come out and say, like, "Oh, I made Wonder Woman to help me fulfill my sexual fantasies"?
Oh
Like,
shit! He was also invented the early prototype of the lie detector, which also explains the fucking lasso of truth. But anyways, this guy, he did some shit. There needs to be more.
there really needs to be more of that. Like, wait, how are we not talking about this? So the same dude who worked and created the early prototypes of the lie detector.
Yes.
And that's how I'm putting it. That's what I'm guessing is the case here. Same dude who helped create Wonder Woman via comic books.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a legacy.
that he has one hell of a legacy. Yeah,
Wonder Woman,
and he was
lie detecting.
sexual
BDSM.
liberation, and the Wonder Woman was created in the 40s. So yeah, sexual liberation in the fucking 40s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, homies, you can now say that you listen to an educational podcast because I believe we've all learned something already, and it's only been 12 minutes.
It's only been 12 minutes, yes. He actually created Wonder Woman, just found this out too, pretty late in his life. He died in 47. I think Wonder Woman came out in, 40, maybe 41?
Okay.
So, yeah. Interesting stuff, man. This guy definitely loved women. He created one of the, in more ways than one of the most strongest, or one of the strongest women superheroes of all time.
Like literally one of the leading definitions of like powerful, independent, badass woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like Wonder Woman?
Who doesn't like Wonder Woman? Yeah. But now that you guys have learned a thing or two about a thing or two, let us bring.
Well, I'm going to bed. I feel like we're done. We did our job. Good night, homies. That would be hilarious.
Yes.
Homies like, why the fuck is this episode only 13 minutes long?
Oh, hey, sometimes it be like that. But homies, welcome back to another episode of the Superhero Homies podcast. My name is Quentin, and as always, I am here with the homie Kevin.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what is going on? Welcome back to another splendid, fantastic episode of the Superhero Homies.
Yes,
Yeah, got some cool shit that we're going to talk about tonight.
that we do. In the words of SpongeBob, come gather around this campfire, saying this campfire song. The CAMPFRESONG song.
I was about to say, you can't not proceed with the hook. Yeah.
But today, around the fire, in the corner, in the nook, we are having a reading corner.
Ooh-wee.
I feel like I need a button for that.
We kind of do. That'd be cool to come up with like a pseudo theme song for it. For those of you who do not recall, however,
Huge reading corner.
we about to get paranoid up in here. Q's Reading Corner is where we talk about some of the more recent comic books that that Q has been digging into, and just kind of give him some spotlight, give him some fresh air, because a lot of the times we do a comic book readings, either Q or myself, for the sake of movie preparation, some cool shit about to come out on TV shows or something, and sometimes, believe it or not, we find time to do leisure reading, And actually, I was going to throw in a couple books I was currently reading on too. Yeah, because I finished one recently and just started another. So I don't have a lot to discuss on the latter, but the first book you actually recently finished too. But we'll see, man. Go ahead, start us off, man. What are we reading in Q's Reading Corner?
Well, I think to
By the way,
start.
the imagery for this, I have like a very Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood type thing. Like you just came out in a red cardigan sweater. Yeah.
Won't you be my comic book reader friend?
Actually, you come out in the red cardigan doing like a Reading Rainbow rendition, fusing the two together. There you go. Because one's definitely more about reading, you know.
It's true, yeah.
And hey, we want all of you to be our neighbors because you're all homies. So there you go. We're neighbors under the superhero homie flag.
See?
Yes.
So I'm trying to think about which one to start with. I'll probably go back and forth from like one company to the other to keep it kind of even.
Fair.
I'll start off on the DC side of things, DC adjacent anyway. I recently finished reading the Volume 1 omnibus to the Garth Ennis classic, Preacher.
Hell yeah.
That has been a fantastic journey. Garth is one of those really extreme writers, but when he really gets into his pocket, you really kind of understand why so many people hold him in such high regards. So a really quick synopsis as to what Preacher is. Preacher is a show, or it is a show actually, but it's a comic book first.
Is the show based off in comic?
It is.
Dope.
Fun fact, the guy who plays Jesse Custer, the main character in the Preacher TV show, also plays Howard Stark in the MCU. Yeah, he plays young Howard Stark in the MCU.
Cool. Small world. Okay.
But no, so Preacher is it's a comic book about a guy who, as you can imagine, is a preacher in a very small town in Texas. It's one of those small towns where everybody kind of knows each other or whatnot. Long story short, though, as he is up giving a sermon, he's giving a sermon, by the way, on a Sunday. The following or the previous Saturday, he was at a bar where a lot of his church-going people were at. He gets drunk, ends up talking a whole lot of shit, saying shit he shouldn't. He gets punched out, but he's still up and at church the next day, doing the thing, preaching the good word.
Amen.
And but as he's trying to do so, this almost fast-traveling unseen force comes from nowhere, obliterates the church. Everyone in the church is instantly killed. They're all fucking dead. The church is destroyed, but Jesse is okay. He is fine. Come to find out, this thing that hit the church, which I won't go into too much spoilery detail, I'll let you guys figure that out for yourselves. But it has inhabited the body of our lead character, Jesse Custer, and it gives him the ability to use what he calls the word, whereas he can basically, you can say like your purple man type a power where he can speak something and you are obliged to follow it and to do what he says. And it's pretty fucking cool how they use this power. Now, of course, we get our three main characters would be Jesse Custer, who is our pastor with the word, his on again, off again girlfriend, Tulip, who is, speaking of badass women in comics, she's definitely up there in the pantheon of badass women characters.
Yeah, especially whenever you know a name like Garth Ennis is writing it. You know?
Yeah. And then, of course, the third main character who we cannot forget is Cassidy, who is, well, it happens early on, so it's not really a spoiler. He's a vampire. And a really fucking cool one at that. And so, basically, Jesse, his whole purpose now is to figure out what has happened and how to fix this. And again, this happens at the beginning, so not that big of a spoiler. But he learns that God has left the kingdom of heaven. In more ways than one, all hell is breaking loose. Jesse wants to find, in his own words, that son of a bitch, and figure out why he left his throne and send his ass back up there. And so now this is his journey. This is his quest. He wants to figure out what the fuck is going on here.
Okay.
And the amount of off the wall shenanigans and situations that they find themselves in along the way are absolutely they're fucking insane, and I love it.
Well, we got to remember too, and this was something that I definitely wanted to throw in as fun as it is. You got to remember the writer Garth Ennis, guys, and for those of you who need a reminder of some of the other awesome works in his catalog. I'm talking The Boys. I'm talking, I believe Constantine, the large collection you have, correct?
Yeah, Hellblazer, he did that.
Right. Mm-hmm. And there's some graphic shit in both of those stories alone. Like, I need I say more, because both of those go into some very heavy NC-17, don't let this child read this, oh my gosh, please no level material.
Yeah.
Which is super fun, but very, oh shit, that kind of like, that's shaking right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It is. And, it's funny, you mentioned Hellblazer, and he started writing Preacher right after he finished his run on Constantine on Hellblazer.
Okay.
And you can see a lot of the carryover there, because a lot of those style adventures that John will find himself in, Jesse is finding himself in kind of similar waters. You can tell that Garth Ennis really has a bag that he a pocket that he likes to get into, and he's really fucking good in that pocket.
It sounds like it, because this is at least a second very large popular work of his I know that kind of digs on, the fun storytelling graphic material, which definitely is eye-catching and, kind of makes you do a double take while you're reading, but it's also theological in nature, because Hellblazer definitely is a story heavily based in the supernatural, like demons and shit like that. Yeah, and this is obviously a story tipping on that scale as well.
Yes.
Which is interesting, which is cool.
Oh, yeah.
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 There's a fascination there.
There is. And, there was definitely, even back when this first came out, there was a lot of hype behind it. I think a lot of people were still riding high off of him from Hellblazer, and to see like what he would do with his own created characters and his own kind of created world, what he would do with it. It's been a whole lot of fun to read. And I just finished Omni 1. I believe that Volume 2 has just come out. I have to add that to there are times of feast and times of famine when it comes to like Omnis. There's times when like there's just really nothing else that I want right now. Maybe I'll pick this one or that one up. And then there's other times where I just get hit over the fucking head, and there are just books galore that come out all at the same time. Like my fucking wish list right now, it hurts my heart because there's a lot, and they are not cheap.
Yeah.
But Hellblazer Volume 2 is on that. If I haven't enticed you guys enough, I'll just mention this one thing, and then we'll move on, and that is out of all the stories in the Volume 1 Omni, I enjoyed them all. There wasn't any point where the book lost me or where I was disinterested. I was thoroughly invested throughout the entire book, and that's a real strength of Garth Ennis. Just his ability to write such compelling characters and their arcs and their growth and like their literal road trip journey. It's really incredible.
Awesome.
But I think one of the best was about a character known as the Saint of Killers, who's this really kind of unknown threat introduced very early on in the book. As he's introduced, he seems to be like this kind of old school, older looking cowboy gentleman who never runs out of bullets and who never fucking misses and who can't be killed. And
well, that's some shit.
Yeah.
So you don't encounter him. You just say nope.
Yeah.
Turn the other way.
Yeah. If you encounter him, that typically means you're already dead. Like And his whole thing that we learned from the beginning is that he is a weapon called from God in times when God needs maybe a large portion of people fucking killed.
So he's the Vindicator.
Yeah.
Huh. Cool.
And as soon as Genesis, the thing that embodies Jesse, gets out, the angels were supposed to be watching this entity known as Genesis. As soon as that entity breaks free, they send the Saint of Killers to go kill Jesse Custer so that maybe they can retrieve this entity known as Genesis, which is gives them the word. But there's an issue, maybe two issues, that happens in the latter end of the Omni, where we get to learn about the origin of the Saint of Killers and how he became to be this immortal being who loves to kill, but reluctantly does it for when people tell him to.
It's like the reverse of Spawn. You know, like
Yeah.
Spawn is all about helping out Hell, even though he doesn't want to. Sounds like this guy's kind of similar, but on the opposite spectrum. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. He has a very, very cool backstory. I really dug it. He was really one of the compelling characters, and of course, also in typical Garth Ennis fashion, there's elements of horror in it. There's obviously, like we already mentioned, elements of blood and gore that are all strewn throughout. Then there's elements of hilariosity as well. I mean, we're talking about
like absurdity. It sounds like, yeah.
Yes, there's a kid who, how do I put this gently? Who we encounter in the book? Who, well, first of all, there's Ass Face. You gotta love Ass Face. He even made it into the TV show, which is very surprising.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
with
even
the name and the concept, like
Yes.
it's literally cheeks for a face.
that is not no.
Really? Is he just ugly?
He is ugly as sin.
Okay.
Which is ironic, ugly as sin. But anyway, Ass Face, like, I don't know if you can get away with creating a character like this today, but thank fucking goodness Garth Ennis can and did. But Ass Face, really quickly, he was a character who he was just a kid, like a teenager, and he really hated his parents and didn't get along with them very well. And he was an angsty teenager, listened to a lot of, angsty 90s rock. And I think it was mirrored after the death of Kurt Cobain. But this kid, I forget what his actual name was, he tried to kill himself. And so he put a shotgun to his face, pulled the trigger, but he survived. You just Google Ass Face.
I'm about to.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's actually Arse Face. If you guys look it up, it's ARSEFACE. But his face looks like a butthole from the wound that was left when he tried to kill
There's
himself.
no mature way to discuss that.
And yes,
I can see it.
yeah,
I see an anus.
Oh man, rest in peace to Steve Dillon. That was the artist who drew majority of both Hellblazer and oh yep, that's him. For Hellblazer and Preacher. Yeah. That is Arse Face. There's another fucking character who you don't see this character very much. Probably for the best. This is a character who is allegedly has a pure bloodline leading all the way back to Christ. And there's this insanely powerful cult who holds this kid safe and keeps him. But this kid, there's no two ways about it. This kid is a fucking inbred mess. Because if you only have one bloodline, then you're gonna be a fucking mess. And this kid, and the shit that, and like he is in the backdrop of one of the most serious, intimidating antagonists that we see in the book. And so like, well, we're getting this really intense villain who at one point has the number over on Jesse. In the backdrop, there's this fucking kid, man, who's pissing all over the place, who's eating weird shit, who looks funny as fuck, and it's like,
Do you remember his name? I want to look him up.
I do not remember his name. I do not. Guys. Read Preacher. That's all I can say. It is a fantastic venture. I cannot wait to get volume 2. Hopefully this pitch has been enough to convince you guys. At the very least, check out the TV show. I think they had 4 seasons on not FX, the same AMC. Yeah,
AMC.
Yeah. And AMC gets away with a lot for a cable television show or channel, I should say. Yeah, so that was the first one that I wanted to talk about was Preacher. Finally finished the first Omni.
Hell
Really
yeah.
loved it. Can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, I couldn't find a picture of him. I
Yeah,
didn't know
yeah.
enough to type in. I typed in Garth Enix purebred kid preacher, and yeah, it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, not too shabby.
Oh yeah.
I'll take a little bit of a turn, although I don't want to divulge too much on this because it is such a popular TV series presently.
Oh, right.
So, guys, I just recently finished Invincible. As many of you who have been listening consecutively knows, I have been, alongside with Q here, we've been digging into the Invincible collection after the TV series on Amazon Prime, Invincible. It has been a superb story. It has been excellently told. It has been just a very refreshing breath for the superhero genre, in that it is a whole new take on the concept of superheroes and how that's interpreted for the public, for this world of fiction, and for a whole new like plethora of characters to follow. The great thing about this story is that Robert Kirkland, the same gentleman, of course, who did the whole Walking Dead for a while.
Kirkman.
That's what I said.
That's
What'd
what
you
you
say?
said, yeah.
Get the fuck out. Yeah, Kirkman, excuse me. But his storytelling here, I value this story a lot more than what Walking Dead overall is, you know? Yeah, it's been a superb one. We just finished book 9. That was the one I also just recently finished up here. And you said that there's 3 more?
Yeah, there's 12 of the. If you guys are reading in the Ultimate Collection, there's 12 volumes.
Okay. Yeah, and that's what we have, the Ultimate Collection, and it's been dope. There's a lot happening here. We get to continue the story of Mark Grayson, and for those of you who know the show, dope. I ain't gonna spoil nothing. I ain't gonna talk about it in detail because I don't want to be that guy. Because book 9 definitely goes into so much more, obviously, because we're 9 chapters ahead of the show, arguably.
Even more.
Yeah, even more, but. Yeah, there's just a lot of awesome, like, earlier we talked about storytelling. This is such a fun balance to read of each of, like, the side characters and going on each of the individual sagas that they all get. And it's super fun to see, like, where each looming threat, each side supporting hero, each main other hero on some other, like, team or whatever have you, it's what everyone's up to. However, primarily we do get to continue the story of Mark Grayson, the same gentleman who we see basically his entire origin. We see how he first has his powers first began to manifest whenever he was just a teenager, and kind of see how that treats him. For those of you again following season 1 on Amazon Prime, it's pretty close. Yep. It's very valuable in that it's so close to the original material here from the pages. I cannot wait to see the show catch up and do the rest of this stuff too, because the story only gets better. It's been awesome. There's been very little to complain about. The only thing I could find to complain about is how hard it is to get a hold of the books, you know, because I remember you telling me about this where it's like, because the show's booming popularity, continuing right now is put on hold because, well, fuck, all this stuff is selling out.
Thankfully, now that's not an issue anymore.
Good. Yeah, happy to hear, man.
They're pretty easy to get a hold of now.
But we won't share our sources.
OrganicPriceBooks.com, not a sponsor, and or In Stock Trades. Those would be the 2 places I recommend most. Don't go to Amazon for anything. Amazon sucks.
Yeah, dude. I still see one book here that Amazon fucked up. Yeah. I'm looking at Sandman 4, The Absolute up there.
Oh, yeah.
That corner, I just see the light bending on it because the corner's like dented in some. Fucking Amazon. Not a sponsor.
Yeah, not a sponsor. No, Invincible is great.
Mm-hmm.
My only problem with Invincible, this is, I think, more so of a problem with me and how I read it, and that is I read just way too much Robert Kirkman at one time. By the time you finish volume 9, it's over 110 issues. That's a lot of book. That's a lot of story. And Robert Kirkman and Invincible has a very distinct style of storytelling where his characters are very dialogue heavy. Where you're like, if anyone said this much shit about any one thing in any conversation, I would grow tired of dealing with said person.
Right. Like you would kind of tune out and not get everything.
Yeah,
I get that.
It
is dialogue heavy.
It is, and it's he uses it as a way to kind of exposit at times, just to make sure that we as the readers can understand exactly what's going on, and then I think I realized this, that I needed to take a break at the end of when I finished volume 8. That was like I was finishing each volume or even like each big issue looking for the next big twist, and I'm like, this shouldn't be why I'm reading. I shouldn't be reading to look for the next big twist. Then you also have to realize that like reading any comic book series that's long form takes the artist or the writer years to craft. And so although it took me, I guess a few months to get through volume 9,
it's almost unfair, isn't it?
Yeah, it took Kirkman, literally, like it took him, I think volume 1 has the first 12 issues. I think that took him almost a year, to do.
Wow. I mean, that makes sense, an issue a month. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, issue a month, yeah. And, so it's like from that standpoint, it's almost like, because we get to a point, I guess not even a mile, it's not even a spoiler, but you get to a point where like Mark Grayson is a lot stronger than what he was when he started off.
Right.
And I'm almost like, when the fuck did this happen? And then you realize, well, shit, it's probably been like 4 years since Kirkman started this. So
yeah,
I guess it makes sense. So with reading a story that is
such a continuation.
Yeah, such a continuation. Like that's the reason why I haven't picked up the last 3 volumes yet, because that's going to be it for the story.
You on your own vacation, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's totally appropriate, dude. Yeah.
I got to make sure that I'm in the right headspace and that I'm not reading for the next twist, but reading for like the characters and for like the story in and of itself, and not the next big oh my gosh moment that's going to happen.
True. There are some great oh my gosh moments. So brother, I definitely don't blame you. Mm-hmm. They're definitely out there. They're very cool. Yeah, it's a very creative story, very awesome. Again, I'm trying so hard to not go into super spoilery details.
Yeah, it's difficult because you really can't talk about anything outside of book 1.
Nope, not really. There's a lot of crazy things like.
And also, I probably need to go back and reread some of that because I'm like, I can't tell you what happened differently in book 5 from book 3, maybe even book 7. Like, man, like so much of it is because I
conjoined.
Yeah. When you just read so much of it.
Yeah, it all blends together. And
it does.
Brother, as you say that, I couldn't either. 1 and 2, yes. Right. 8 a little bit, 9 a lot of it since I just finished it.
Right. Yeah.
Everything else, it's just one giant book, right? It's just one melting pot of story. And then the funny thing is like, if we were to play a game where I bring up a big event, and I would ask you, okay, did this take place here or here in the story? And not like in book 2 or 5 or whatever, but like, did this take place before this event or after said event? And it's like,
shit. Yeah.
I can't answer that.
Yeah.
At this point, I'd have to be like the guy in Jeopardy. He's like, I don't fucking know the answer. Let me read this,
Yeah.
Rest in peace to Alex Trebek.
Rest in peace to Alex Trebek.
Amen. Cheers.
Jeez. I would definitely have to. Definitely before season 2 comes out, I'm gonna give myself a refresher course.
That'd be dope.
Yeah.
Hey, in intervals though. In intervals.
I mean, I'm probably just gonna read book 2, maybe book 3.
Like, in intervals. You literally read like 5 pages. All right, wow. Done.
Not even in the whole issue. Yes.
But yeah, man. Invincible 9, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's great.
Yeah. If you guys haven't gotten on Invincible, you should do that.
And again, you like using Comic Book Warehouse. What was the name of it, please?
Organic Price Books and In Stock Trades.
In Stock. Wow, what the fuck? I just made up a new one.
You did, yeah. Comic Book Warehouse. Go to comicbookwarehouse.com. Use promo code Kevin. What the fuck, and you'll get 15% off your next order.
Brother, I mean, go to the Imaginary website. You better get shit for free. Especially with the code as awesome as that. Kevin, what the fuck?
Also, I do recommend using the cheap graphic novels as well. They're good.
There you go. Cool.
You gonna say something?
No. I was just gonna say, make sure to use code Q go to bed, and you'll get free shipping.
That's the trick though. You can only use one promo code on these things. You can never use two. I've tried.
That's so damn true.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I'll cheat all the time. Every time I use like a food delivery service, I'll always pause, Google. Yep.
But they're always all like out of date.
Yeah, like I have to really put an effort for. Yeah, it worked once on the first try, and it knocked down like maybe $5.
Yeah.
How to Adult.
How to it
by the superhero homies.
We're not that good at it, FYI.
We are not a great tutorial.
Yeah. All right. Next up, this next book I'm going to talk about has been one that has been on my to read list for. Oh no, that's not very. That's very vague. There's a lot of books on my to read list.
Yeah, I was about to say, bro, that's a long ass list.
That's a very long list. But this one in particular, I was really looking forward to reading, and I finally found the time to do so, and I'm glad I did. I was able to read Volume 1. It contains the first 10 issues of Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil run.
Nice. Okay.
Yes. And it's called To Heaven Through Hell is what kind of this first volume is labeled as. This has been a fantastic read. Chip Zdarsky's been one who currently works for Marvel, who I've been singing his praises to. And I finally got around to reading all the way through this book. And it has been a truly fantastic Daredevil read.
Okay.
This book, obviously we see Matt in a place that is not unfamiliar. If you've read a lot of Daredevil, Matt is mentally in a place where he's trying to figure out who he is and what he really wants to do as far as the Daredevil persona is concerned. We're at a point here in the Marvel continuity where Fisk is mayor. It's kind of funny because maybe 15-year spoiler, but Daredevil or Matt Murdock at one point was mayor. Short-lived, and now here we are. Fisk is mayor, which oddly enough seems a lot more realistic to me.
Yeah.
But no, the fantastic thing about this is not just the use of characterization, but keeping this character grounded and gritty, while also telling new compelling stories. So we're getting stories that we haven't really gotten before.
AKA evidence that it can be done.
It can be done.
Daggone.
You can tell good stories in modern day that don't have to rely on modern social cues.
And that's probably going to be the most important statement we've made all night.
Probably.
Yeah.
That and the thing about the one woman creator.
Lest we forget
Sir William Marston,
the father of the lie detector,
the lover of BDSM,
Ooh-wee.
the creator of Wonder Woman.
All the same man.
All the same guy, let me tell you. But
life is great.
Yes. So I don't want to get into too many spoilers about this because this Daredevil run, even though like these issues are probably 2 years old now, it's still probably the most current thing that I'm going to talk about tonight. But I will say this is a great jumping on point for Daredevil readers. This is one that I don't feel bad about recommending about, especially concerning like current day writers, because there's a lot of riffraff out there. There is some good, and Chip Zdarsky's is definitely good. If I had to pick some highlights from the book, I would say the encounter with the Punisher is a very, very fun and strong highlight.
Okay.
Again, Chip Zdarsky, he just kind of reminds you of like who Frank Castle is and what kind of man you're dealing with. Whereas I feel that a lot of that is oftentimes lost. It's kind of funny because speaking of Frank, Garth Ennis, another book he wrote was the Punisher Max series. He wrote at least the first half of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
which was a great book.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic read, and he also kept in mind that Frank Castle about what kind of person he is. There's a weird kind of juxtaposition that happens over time with a popular character who was an anti-hero, where over time, no disrespect, but in the hands of lazier writers, they transition into just heroes who have attitudes. And
Right. I can see that.
yeah, and thankfully, one thing that obviously Garth had no problem doing, but Chip Zdarsky also had no problem doing, was reminding you that this is a very flawed and mentally unstable man.
Yeah.
Who has his own kind of twisted, sick code. And so the stuff with Punisher, it's not long lived because it's not the main crutch of the story, but it is very fucking entertaining. And I just love the characterization thereof. I love there's this new character who's introduced. What is his name? Detective Cole. We'll just call him Cole.
Okay.
But he's a new detective who's brought in from Chicago to deal with this kind of this superhero menace. Not to sound like J. Jonah Jameson, but because Fisk is mayor, he really is hammering down on like these vigilantes. And it's interesting here because a lot of the cops in Hell's Kitchen, it's so fun, it's so interesting because I really like what's going on here. Either half the cops work for like the Owl, who is a known dealer and kind of mob boss amongst Hell's Kitchen. Either half of them work for the Owl, or half of them have encountered Daredevil and have been saved by Daredevil, so they don't hold any kind of grudge against him. They just kind of let Daredevil do his thing.
Awesome.
And so you kind of have these two halves together, and Cole doesn't like either side here. It's like we can't just hand the law and justice over to vigilantes, which he's not wrong, but because he's going against Daredevil, you don't want to like him. But he's also like, and you guys also definitely shouldn't be working with the fucking crazed
So he's the only person who's unbiased.
Yeah, he is there. He's there. He is unbiased, and he's there to do a job. And also, like, without getting into again too much spoilery detail, there's a situation that Matt finds himself in. Again, mild spoilers. So if you haven't read No One Be Spoiled by anything, fast forward by about a minute and 45. Yes, I had to look at the timer. But something that happens is that Matt is stopping a group of guys who are attempting to rob, I think, some kind of store. Okay. And he goes to stop them. And, of course, these guys are fighting back. And Matt is able to stop them. Now, he is just coming fresh off of an injury, a very severe injury. And this is his first time coming back as Daredevil. So he's rusty. Okay. He gets beat up a little bit, but he gets the job done. He's able to stop the criminals, and he's able to get away before the cops show up. Mm-hmm. Some of the guys need to go to the hospital because their wounds are so severe. And come to find out, a few days later, one of the guys died, allegedly from injuries sustained at the hands of Daredevil. And this is something that Matt is now trying to fight because now people are, he's like, I'm not a murderer, and people are going to say that I killed this guy. And it's so interesting how that plays out because I can see most other writers taking an easy out with something like this. But instead, Matt has to live kind of with what has transpired and with maybe how it transpired. So whereas, again, with other writers, they find easy ways to kind of get around that and not worry about it. With Chip Zdarsky, he's like, well, let's kind of go through this with Matt and see what happens here and what happens with his psyche.
You almost forget how political Matt's story gets sometimes, and that's because he cares so much about his city. Mm-hmm. And the way he shows that is, fighting crime in the vigilante getup, or in his case, Daredevil, hero who also sometimes vigilante. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say both sometimes, depending. In this story, was he more of one than the other?
I mean, I think Daredevil is I've always considered him a vigilante. I never really, I mean, there's a
Yeah. I
sometimes-
mean, I haven't read all of his works.
Yeah.
I know
No,
there's
right.
some where he's more like on the hero side of things, like especially his companion times when he's like with the Avengers.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
or
like,
the
but
Avengers maybe.
if he's
you
with
know, yeah.
like a group,
Correct.
then I mean,
And I've always seen him like, which one was it? Where he was, Civil War. Yeah, he was just chilling with the guys in the diner, and he was like out of costume, just
that was definitely vigilante because he was with Team Cap, who are all vigilantes.
Okay, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, I mean, never mind. I'm not gonna go down that path. I was gonna make a joke, but never mind. But yeah, man.
I guess I consider him like in the same kind of line as Batman. When Batman's with the Justice League,
Yeah.
he's a superhero. But when he's on his own in Gotham, he's still the vigilante bat.
Well put. That's kind of like what I was thinking, but great imagery for it, man.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, I've also been reading some Daredevil, as you know, because I joked with you off mic the other day that it's like, man, this guy is genuinely and consistently one of my favorite heroes, but I feel like I haven't read a lot of Daredevil. So it's like, is this an undeserved fanship? Huh. So it's like,
Well,
yeah.
I'm here to tell you and the homies there is no such thing.
Oh man, that's encouraging as fuck. See, now this is Q's Reading Corner. Now I feel like we just finished coming off the fucking train. Like you just asked me, won't you be my neighbor? You know? Like, fuck yeah, I'll be your neighbor. Imagine Mr. Rogers had one of his puppets respond
Right.
like that. Fuck yeah, I'll be your
yeah, I'll
neighbor.
be your neighbor.
It's like, oh, wait, whoa. We don't talk like that.
Did Mr. Rogers have puppets?
Yeah, dude.
I didn't know. I'm just
Oh,
I was
yeah,
just
yeah,
asking.
he did. Yeah. He had his house where he always came home and he would like change out of like, I guess his work attire. I don't know what the fuck he did.
What do you do for work?
I don't know. I was just saying, I don't know what he did. But then he always put on the famous red cardigan, and then he would like sit there.
He changed shoes, right?
Yes, he did change shoes. You're right about that. He changed shoes, and then like he would start whatever the program was that particular day, and then you always took like a train ride into the neighborhood. Mr. Rogers.
It's
yeah.
a wonderful day,
Yeah.
Mr. Rogers. yeah.
Yeah,
That's how it went.
clearly.
Yeah.
And yeah, like there were puppets. Like I don't remember all of them. I remember like one or two maybe, but yeah, they were just like.
There was Junebug, and there was Cletus, and then there was.
Bro, we're not going to trivia night. We ain't ready. But yeah.
Anywho,
Oh, where the fuck that?
I have no
Yes,
idea.
Daredevil.
Yeah.
No, I was trying to remember where the beginning of the bridge was because we just kept building. It's like,
Yeah.
what were we talking?
Yeah, I can't build the bridge stuff from Daredevil to Mr. Rogers. I don't know how we got there.
No, we built the bridge. It's built. But it's just a large valley we built it over. Anyways, what the fuck? Daredevil. There it is. So yeah, I decided that I was going to read into the collection you have here, Daredevil. I started off. I think I started incorrectly. As fun as it is, it's more like a lot of you out there who are comic book fans are also going to follow me on the following conversation I'm about to have with you. So it's like in Dragon Ball Z, where every beginning of episode began the same way. We have the infamous narrator, last time on Dragon Ball Z. And it's like, you always get the last time, blah, 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 kind of giving you like the reminder, the refresher. Mm-hmm. I feel like this book is a lot of refresher, but then again, it's advertised as such. It's the companion piece.
Yeah, I wouldn't say refresher, simply because like in this companion, of course, to the main stories that he wrote. He actually, in this companion piece, it has some of the most iconic Daredevil stories that Frank or anyone ever wrote.
He does. I'm not there yet, though. Like, remember, I just started the book. So I just now finished up with The Blind Leading the Blind, where Spider-Man was blinded on some adventure, and then it was Daredevil again, like the most blind man out there.
Yeah.
Unblind, that's a word. And literally it was super blind Daredevil leading blind Spider-Man. Yeah. And it was a cool concept, but it's like, I read that and it's like, oh, okay, cool. But you're right. After just like nonchalantly flipping through, just kind of giving myself a cheating preview on what all I was going to encompass, you do get some of the most famous stories, including and not limited to Daredevil, the Man Without Fear. Cool story, you know. Actually,
And
one of the
Born
shirts I
Again.
bought from Dragon Con. Go listen to that episode. And Born Again, you're right about that. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of cool stuff to be had. It's just I'm still having it because I'm still reading it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very similar to the Omni that came out last year. It's a Spider-Man Omni. It's called I think it's just called The Untold Stories of Spider-Man.
Okay.
And it's just kind of like a
I almost
with
imagine
these-
that as like, and forgive me for my assumption here, because I do not mean this insultingly. I almost imagine it as like the Spider-Man B-side stories.
I would call it less that and just more of the stories that were told at certain points during his career
Okay.
that maybe didn't fit into any kind of continuity. So that these stories were retroactively told and written at like an earlier time in Spidey's career. But like they're like it's a collection of really cool Spider-Man stories, but it's not like you have to start with volume such and such and read to volume so and so to understand.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of what this companion piece does here. It's like if you enjoyed Frank Miller's primary run with Daredevil, then these stories will not only satiate you even more, but they'll fill in certain gaps as well. Or you can read it on his own, and just read a book of really cool collection of Daredevil stories.
Which is basically what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good stuff.
Yeah.
That Frank Miller primary Daredevil Omni is so long out of print. I and I'm sure many others pray that Marvel will do a reprint. So far, nothing's been announced. The companion Omni, surprisingly, is is scarce to find. When I saw it, I said, well, let me go ahead and get it before it disappears. But yeah, man, I really dig that Omni as well. There's a lot of really cool stories in there that I think you really dig.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Good. Not
Next.
too shabby. Fifth book on the list. What we got?
Next up, I'm going to mosey back over to the DC
Next.
side of things for a bit.
Next time on Q's Reading Corner.
I have recently finally finished. Actually, I started over it because it's been so long since I picked it up. But I recently finally finished reading Wonder Woman: Dead Earth.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, that was a very intriguing story for me. One that I had a lot of fun reading. This was a story for those who aren't familiar with it. Wonder Woman, she wakes up in some kind of chamber. It looks like a little healing pod. You can't really tell what it is, but she wakes up and she is in like what used to be the Batcave, and she quickly discovers that the world is decimated. There are barely any humans left. The world is ravaged by these hideous, gruesome-looking monsters.
Cool.
This is a DC Black Label book, by the way, so it's not in continuity, and it is definitely more darker in theme and more mature. And I really did this book. The other interesting thing early on here is that Wonder Woman quickly realizes that she's weaker than what she was. She doesn't remember how she got in that little chamber, why she was in the bottom of the Batcave. She doesn't know what happened to the world. She doesn't know what happened to civilization. All she knows is that she obviously failed because her main job is to protect mankind, even though mankind does not understand her or Themyscira. So she feels like she has failed at her one primary objective. She quickly saves a group of young kids who are all scavenging for food, and they take Diana back to their home camp. I think it's called Camp New Hope. And this is like the last holdout for humankind. These are like the only group of humans that we see in this book. And in Camp New Hope, it's led by this just kind of dickbag, ruthless leader. I think his name is Theron, something like that. Doesn't matter. But anyways, it's led by this real dickbag. And again, one woman, she's not without any powers, but her powers are greatly diminished. And it's interesting learning what happened with that. But anyways, we quickly discovered that the world is like the way it is because of nuclear fallout. There was some kind of big war, and they say that the bombs fell, and then the Great Fire happened. And seeing what all that is, like getting the revelation as to what led to all of that, was really fucking interesting. And then like the result thereof. This book is like the revelations that we get here are equal parts impactful and shocking, but they all make sense. And every time, and I forgive me, Holmes, because I forget who wrote this book, but every time the writer, I think, is starting to go too far and almost starting to lean onto the rule of cool, he pulls me back in, and he makes things make sense again, so things are sensible.
Good.
Yeah,
That's valuable.
it is.
Where's the book at?
It's over here.
Oh, there it is on the far left. Okay. Dead Earth.
Yeah.
The artwork on it is definitely one of the first conversation pieces that I would notice. It stands out. It's very abrasive. It pulls you in just because it's such rough-looking artwork, and I think that helps to emphasize just how apocalyptic and how just like end of days this is supposed to feel. You know how welcome to the Badlands. Shit got rough.
Yeah.
You know this isn't Fallout where there's like friendly little pockets of civilization. This is you came to the wrong fucking wasteland,
Yeah.
and I like that.
Yeah,
So,
and like the artwork in this book is absolutely fantastic. I think I may have made this joke before. It's kind of a joke, but I'm actually being quite serious. And that is, if you ever see specifically a DC book, because I've seen DC do this more than Marvel, but if you see a DC book that does not follow the traditional sizing measures or standards of other oversized hardcovers, you know that the artwork will be fire. So Wonder Woman Dead Earth does not have a traditional sizing standard. It has phenomenal artwork. Harleen does not have a traditional sizing standard.
super great.
Phenomenal artwork. The Dark Prince Charming, same way.
Batman Damned over there.
Batman Damned. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another one that has
I just
untraditional
remember
sizing
just, like,
standards.
how fucking sharp that cover was.
Yeah.
Impressive.
And the artwork inside of it is just equally as impressive.
Yeah.
So that's the thing about DC. If it is, it's not just if the book is shaped differently from your standard oversized hardcovers, but it's also if it's DC Black Label. If it's Black Label oversized hardcover with unproportional degrees,
That's the money.
That's the money. You know that the artwork, at the very least, would be outstanding.
Good.
Yeah. It's interesting how that happens. But no,
I like it.
so the actual premise for Wonder Woman Dead Earth is now that she's with this new camp, she discovers that, okay, these people are starving. They're without food. They only have like a week's worth of food left. And so Wonder Woman, she is trying to lead them to a new place where they can settle and find food and be safe, because there's huge ravenous creatures. The civilians, they call them Hydras, but like Headras.
They forgot how to spell.
And these things are huge, gruesome creatures. And again, like about the artwork, there's just some beautiful splash pages in this book that are like breathtaking. There's times in this book where I spend more time reading a splash page that only has like 1 or 2 panels of dialogue. I'll spend a lot of time on those pages just because the artwork's just so damn engrossing. It's fucking phenomenal. And Wonder Woman, she's trying to find her way back to Themyscira to see if she can find maybe safe haven there or something there that can help her discover what happened. So
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That sounds like what she would do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
So there's so many mysteries. What happened to Batman? What happened to Superman?
It was probably Batman who put her in the damn cave.
What happened with this great fire? Why did
Superman exploded.
why did civilization decide to drop what we can all ascertain are nukes? What the fuck happened, and why are we in a dead Earth? Um, and also, I'll say this as well. This isn't really spoiling anything for the book, but I really like how I don't know if the writer did this on purpose or if it's unintentional. Um, but he does play with the idea that Wonder Woman's bracers are actually there to kind of restrain her powers, and that if you remove her bracers, she is like vastly more powerful, like almost to like the nth degree. That idea wasn't something that was thought of until the New 52. And the New 52 Wonder Woman run, that's when they first introduced the idea that her bracers actually are to hold back her
Constrain and
powers.
help balance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They,
I remember that being a more recent attribute for her.
yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
They bring it back again here for Dead Earth, and and that only adds to the mystery because when she wakes up, she doesn't have any of her bracers on, so it's like, why is she still so underpowered? And so there's a real cool kind of moment here that I don't know again if it was done on purpose or not, but just kind of asking the question of, well, there's a moment where in like a flashback or maybe it's current day Diana, she unleashes her bracers to do something that she thinks would be for the greater good. She does it reluctantly because she doesn't know she can control herself. She does so, and then there's consequences, and then there's a moment at the end of the book where maybe she has to do it again, but does she do it? Does she not do it? And what will be the consequences if she does or doesn't?
Nice.
Yeah,
Haunting.
yeah, it is. And so there's a lot of mystery and intrigue in this book. A lot of really fun things to discover, and it is aptly paced. It doesn't feel like it's rushed. The only thing about the book that I didn't exactly care for 100% was the use of some of the side characters. Um, there's one in particular, the side character. Her name is Dee, and there's moments where I just don't understand what makes this character so special that she has to do certain things. Whereas I feel like there are more capable people in the human camp who could probably do certain things better. So I guess it's being told in the lens that because she has a relationship with Diana at this point, that maybe she can reach her on a certain level. I don't know. Okay. But other than that, Wonder Woman Dead Earth I thought was fantastic. A really cool, unique, darker story that we get from DC.
And I'm seeing one other easy benefit here, which definitely is something that also has to be attributed to the story as a whole. It looks like it wasn't a difficult story to read. It looks actually quite compact, very, very skinny. Like you could easily pick up this book and read it in one sitting if you really wanted to, which I find value in that because sometimes, life gets fucking busy and heavy, and that is actually that's refreshing where it's like, man, that's a quick read. I love that. Read it in a day or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. This is absolutely a quick read. It's roughly the same size as Harleen as far as page count goes.
Yeah. I think I did read Harleen in like 2 days. Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of value, I think, to Wonder Woman Dead Earth. I had a lot of fun reading that one. And so I do recommend that one as well. There is only one more that I had for my recent reads.
Sure. What's on your mind, man? I mean, I already told you what I read and what I am reading.
Got
it. And the library of Kevin is much simpler, where I have like one comic book I'll read at a time. Yeah. Which, yeah, man. Kudos to you for performing the balancing act. But what is this book you have on thy mind?
The last book is The Amazing Spider-Man Omni.
As appropriate.
Yes, that is not really narrowing it down. There's like umpteen Amazing Spider-Man Omnis. This is the one by David Michelini and Todd McFarlane. So I recently decided that I needed to start reading this Omni. By the way, this is one of those omnis that I had to have because it has the iconic uh, Spider-Man issues in there. Of course, it collects issues. Matter of fact, I got the dust jacket right here.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Collects issues 296 through 329 and material from Spectacular Spider-Man Annual number 10.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, it has all that in it. It's about an 800-page omni, and this is one that I had to get. It has like a lot of that real classic material that I knew I just had to get. But the reason I started reading this is because I wanted to start preparation for Venom 2, which comes out in just a few short weeks here, about 3 weeks from now, 3.5 weeks.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, the way that my brain worked, man, it really kind of fucked me over because I was thinking to myself, I need to start prepping for Venom 2. Where do I want to begin at? I was like, do I just jump into Absolute Carnage? No. Let me reel it back in. Absolute Carnage would be a lot of fun, but a lot of that probably won't pertain to the movie, so let me reel that in some. What about Venomnibus?
It's ironic.
Yeah. It's like, what about Venomnibus? Well, Venomnibus would be a great place to start reading. That actually has the lethal enforcers arc. Either lethal enforcers,
Sure.
lethal protectors.
Oh, Lethal Protector.
Lethal protectors.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. That's a Venom
Yes.
thing, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
Lethal Protector. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, think about that for a second. But yeah, it has that arc in it, which of course the first movie is based off of that. I think in Venomnibus Volume 1, I think like the first 6 issues is the lethal whatever arc in it, which does contain material that heavily is used in the first Venom movie. So Venomnibus is good if for no other reason is for that. But of course, Venomnibus Volume 1 also has the first encounter between Venom and Carnage, which I do think the movie will rely on. So I was like, well, Venomnibus would be a great place to start. And then I was like, well, let me just go ahead and start from the beginning of Venom. So that's why I decided to pick up The Amazing Spider-Man.
Not bad.
Just, I can just read through this Omni, the David Michelini run. This is a really fun Omni here. It has a lot of that really classic late 80s, early 90s Spider-Man material in it. And it's so interesting because, like, you know, you start off reading issue 296. Spidey is still in the black suit. It's not the symbiote suit. It's just the black cloth suit that he wore after he decided to ditch the symbiote.
Right.
And, you know, it's at this time that he's, you know, newly married to MJ. Life is well. Yes. Well, I mean, he's still broke, but MJ's making good money, so there's something. You know? He's trying to get by. I mean, he's a superhero, you know.
You know, he's just doing what we talked about earlier, man. He found him a Wonder Woman.
Find him. In this case, though, it is, I think, equally mutual or equally beneficial. I mean, because he gets the smoke show supermodel,
Right.
but I mean, come on, she gets Spider-Man. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm agreeing, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyways. But the interesting thing though about this run here, especially in the beginning, is seeing how we lead into Venom, because it's not like there's a big kind of, you know, lead up. We're just following the adventures of Spider-Man. So there's one, of course, with Doc Ock, who literally has PTSD from dealing with Spider-Man's ass. There's
That's not a joke. Damn it. I feel bad for laughing at that.
For shame. You know, we get issues with Spider-Man just dealing with, you know, kind of his day-to-day run, and by the time we get to the end of issue 299 is when 299 is it's not quite as famous as issue 300, but 299 is still a pretty sought after issue, because at the end of 299 is when we technically get the first appearance of Venom. You know, we see Peter, or we see Eddie Brock actually show up. He's talking seemingly to himself, and then come to find out The symbiote covers him, and then we see that, oh no, he's not talking to himself, and he's prepping for his opportunity to extract revenge on Peter.
Shit.
And then, of course, we get issue 300, one of the most famous Spider-Man issues of all time. And, in that issue, that's when we get to see, again, like the flashback of the iconic moment when Peter's in the church tower and where Eddie and the Venom symbiote first meet, and when they bond over their mutual hatred for Peter Parker because Peter ruined a moment for Eddie, and this would be more material that I'll get more in depth in with the Venom 2 preview. But long story short, here with the Venom or Eddie Brock and symbiote, kind of clashing and coming together,
right,
and seeing them take on Spider-Man, for the first time, it's really fucking fun. It's really cool to read again. But what I think is one of the most interesting things about that issue is the fact that, by the way it was written, you can kind of tell that David Michelini or Todd McFarlane or whoever the editor was at the time, like, I don't think that any of them knew that Venom would be like the super popular hit that he was. He's not written like a one and done.
Okay.
But it's not like he was written like they thought he would catch fire the way that he did either. And so, yeah, it's a very interesting thing here. I mean, and again, he's definitely not badly written or badly drawn.
You could just tell there's a difference.
Yeah,
this is the pilot episode energy Venom.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
he feels like a pilot episode.
Yeah, well, it's like the way they're written. He's like, you can tell, like their energy feels like, this is a cool new villain. Villain we're gonna introduce, and we're gonna people may dig them, and we'll see what happens. But I don't think anything could have prepared them for like the amount of fan love that Venom got.
Cool.
So maybe there's
good news.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there is just no way that they could have written him to the degree that the fans took to him. Like maybe that's just an impossibility because Venom, of course, blew the fuck up. Like right after this issue came out, everybody was talking about Venom.
Yeah.
So, the more I think about it, it probably just wasn't possible to write him to be like this grandiose person that he became in the eyes of the audience. So reading through issue 300 as an adult again was very fun.
Good.
And very iconic. And then of course it goes on. We get more Adventures of Spider-Man, and then it's interesting because the way the issue 300 ends is like, okay, so we can't separate Venom or Eddie from the symbiote, but we can temporarily disable him through some clever Spidey thinking, and then he was able to take Venom to the Fantastic Four, where they kept him encased in like the sonic cage that kept him constantly disrupted. And you can tell that's like a holding place for him. Literally, it's a holding place for the character until we're ready to bring him out and use him again. And as the book goes on, you can almost feel when like David Michelini got word from the editor, like, all right, yeah, that Venom guy, we got to bring him back pronto. People really like this guy. So
excellent.
Yeah. Amazing Spider-Man and Omni. It's a fucking classic, man.
I wonder, just introspectively thinking real quick, I wonder if we went back and found or made a list of like what we understand to be the most iconic villains out there. Which villains have similar humble origins like that, and maybe humble is the wrong word. Just maybe simplified origins like that, where it's like writing where you can tell they didn't think this character would blow the fuck up like they did. Like what's Joker's first issue read like?
Oh, Joker fucking died in his first issue, or it was definitely looked that way. Like they didn't plan on.
They didn't. Yeah, he's like, oh, it's a fucking clown. Whatever. Yeah. We can't have this be Batman's arch. Oh wait. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And again, even just looking through the panels, like it's just so fucking fun reading like their first fight.
Yeah.
And I dig it, man. Also, it's a fun thing to also kind of remember, but the way that Todd McFarlane, the first guy to draw Venom, the way that he drew Venom, he didn't draw Venom with like the elongated tongue or the jagged teeth.
Nope.
You
He
know,
just looked like a more buff, smiling with teeth Spider-Man. Yeah.
because Todd said that he, when I forget the artist who came along right after Todd who started drawing Venom.
Okay.
I have it there, in Venomnibus, but like Todd McFarlane has said that he never cared for that interpretation of Venom because he didn't like he see Venom run or swing and it's like it looks like a dog with his tongue kind of wagging out. I don't know. I don't know if Todd was just hating because or it's hard to say.
Potentially.
Yeah, it's hard to say. But at the same time, it's like I get if he is hating, I get it.
Maybe Todd didn't interpret him as a monster of sorts with like a Spider-Man hybrid
human,
costume.
Yeah, maybe more human-esque.
Yeah. More like angry vendetta human augmented.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's probably it.
To put words in another artist's mouth,
Right.
which we do often.
Which we do often. I want to say, like, if I ever got the chance to meet Todd, I would ask him, so what do you think about, the drawings of Venom that, came after yours? But he probably wouldn't want to answer that because he has on several occasions already about, how he feels about it. But
he hasn't answered us on that.
That's true.
Bingo.
That is
and
true.
that makes it fresh.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Especially, and not to blow our own horn or anything, but it's like we could broadcast that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We have the technology.
We have the technology. We can make them faster, stronger. All for $6 million.
We can sharpen down those teeth. Cut off the tongue.
Yeah.
Make them back to normal. Or Todd's normal. I don't know.
Yep.
But yeah, dude.
Yeah. Super fun stuff. Of course, you get the flashback scene with the
infamous
church
bell
tower.
scene.
Yep.
Yes.
Very good shit, man. A very fun fight to read. Completely unrelated note. I love Todd McFarlane's artwork. I did not understand what the fuck was going on with Ben Grimm's head. He looks like a stegosaurus.
Yeah, Ben Grimm had like the fucking like brow and unibrow combo. Like his eyebrow has his own forehead.
Oh, but he has like a mountain range on his head, man. Like he's got that real stegosaurus thing going on his head. Like it's fucking.
Bro, that's his hair. That's rock hair.
Oh, that's what happens when he doesn't shave.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's chisel.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can't shave. Wait. If the thing chiseled his, does his rock grow back?
I would assume so to an extent.
Right? So if he wanted to give himself a haircut, could he chisel and cut his hair? Would it hurt? Is there a difference between rock, that's where the hair used to be, and rock like at every other part of his body, like his torso, his arms, because that's all technically his body. It doesn't hurt us to cut our hair, but it would hurt us if we cut like the skin. These are important thoughts.
Brother, I think anyone who would care to answer your question.
Don't downplay my question.
Okay,
it's a
okay,
legit
you're
question.
right. So
Yeah.
let me rephrase it. Okay. Anyone who could answer your question is dead, and anyone who would care to answer your question wouldn't.
Is lying.
Yep.
Yeah. Wait. If they care, why wouldn't they? No, never mind. But that is, I don't know.
Yeah.
That is a weird ass picture of Ben for first off. And I don't know. That's a thought we'll have to continue later.
Yes.
Like, can Ben Grimes grow rock hair?
Yes.
And can you trim said rock hair? Is this the same caliber or never mind? But yeah, dude. that's some dope homework you're doing in preparation for Venom, which is ironic because one of the next projects we're going to be covering is our preview of the upcoming sequel to Venom. So that's going to be very exciting.
Let There Be Carnage. I'm looking forward to talking about that one as well. Talking about the origin of Carnage and
kind of like preemptively taking bets on what's going to happen in the movie upcoming. We'll see.
Yeah. Oh, hey, look. Taskmaster sighting. Every time I see actual Taskmaster I got to take note. I'm just flipping through the Spider-Man Omni guys. And
but it's actual Taskmaster with like the cool cloak, the shield, who actually has a face, you know. Oh my fuck, dude. This Taskmaster has more face than the movie. And neither have faces. One's a skull.
Oh, shit. It's funny looking here. Taskmaster standing amongst a group of graves here in this image I'm looking at here. And,
awesome.
And on the gravestones, we see names in the back. We see JRJR, which is drawn out as JRJR. Yep. So apparently John Romita worked on this. We see Ditko. So apparently Steve Ditko did some work on this, the co-creator of Spider-Man. And we see Romita on here. I'm assuming that John Romita Jr. also did some work on this as well.
Well, you said JRJR. Yeah. That's what he signed stuff.
Maybe, no, there's no way that senior and junior, because we see JRJR and Romita. So maybe senior as well.
Did they ever work? Oh, gosh, that's a great question. Yeah. Like, I love how flipping through this, we nonchalantly had a BS question and a real fun question. Like, well, actually, both were fun.
Or maybe they were just... Question. Or another less fun answer is that none of those people worked on it. They're just paying homage. Because looking at the beginning of the issue
that makes
here.
Sense. Actually, that makes sense. Yeah. But then why are they on fucking gravestones? Because JRJR ain't dead. We just saw him.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, at that time, I think the only one of those people who were dead was probably none of them. Steve Ditko's still alive. So
right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The more you know.
The more you know. There is always a lot of fun, guys, in reading. So never let them say that it isn't. It is.
I feel like that's your reading rainbow sign-off tag.
Yeah, my tagline. Yeah.
There is always a lot of fun in reading. Don't let them tell you otherwise.
Yes. Kick them in the nuts if they try to tell you otherwise.
And I need to imagine you saying that as you're closing the book in your cardigan sweater.
Yes. Now read your fucking comics. I like that song.
I'm going to bed. You're done. I'm done.
Hey.
Cut this shit.
Hey, go on. That's a good one. Now read your fucking comics. Perfect.
Homies, we both hope you thoroughly enjoyed the fuck out of this episode. It has been a lot of fun to record and talk about. Tell us what you're reading. Let us know what you're into. And hey, I know a lot of you homies out there really took seriously the last time we did this episode, and you actually began reading a couple of the suggestions made. So let us know if you go down that road. Send us another message. Give us some love. Let us know. Man, I just loved Dead Earth. I picked it up. It was super awesome. Man, that's my favorite Spider-Man issue you're talking about. Whatever. We love hearing all the messages.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
That really brightens our day and it puts a smile on our face. Sis. Plural. But yeah, homies, definitely hit us up. We're always curious to get inside the minds of you dirty homies to see what you guys are thinking. What do you guys want to hear us discuss? What are you guys reading? Just hit us up. Let us know what you guys would like to.
What are your dreams?
Yeah, what are your dreams? What are your fears?
What are your nightmares?
What's your social security number?
Now wait a minute. FBI comes on the door.
We got to go, homies.
Yep.
But that will be all for this one, guys. Hopefully, you guys really enjoyed this episode. As always, we've had a blast with this. If you guys have any kind of questions, comments, Skip This Food Supplies, or William Marston style BDSM fetishes, hit us up at superherohomies@gmail.com or any of our social media outlets.
This will be the most we ever received emails. All you freaks out there, just like, ooh, let me tell you. Let me tell you about my sex swing.
Oh, shit.
Right.
Yep. You guys know where to hit us up at.
Amen.
Hit us up. But that will be all for now, guys. So until next time, my name is Superhero Homie Q.
And as always, I am Superhero Homie Kevin.